to Ignite Voices That Empower, episode 3. This is a space where we create impact one conversation at a time, and I'm super excited to have you here tonight. I hope you guys are gonna have fun and learn a lot from this. My name is Msibuni Roho. I'm 23 from Pretoria. Okay, let me welcome you in. My writing is not good. Hi,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Thank you so much for having me today.
It's a pleasure. So yeah, let's just get started. My writing is not good, but hey, tell me if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hello everyone, welcome to Ignite Voices That Empower. This is episode 3, and as always, I like to go international with my series. So this is my first international guest for this series. So I am Subudulu Boho, all the way from South Africa, and as I always say, the best introduction is self-introduction. So please go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sonia Daptardar. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, in the United States. I am the reigning 2025-2026 National All-American Miss Junior Teen. I was crowned at the end of November, and I'm super excited to be here today and talk a little bit more about myself, my journey with NAM, and my plans.
Congratulations once again on winning. I know it's been a long journey, but finally you've got the national crown. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So if anyone has any questions, you can send them in the question box and we are going to view them very soon. So my first question to you is, every journey starts with a spark. What was your spark when it comes to pageantry?
I think my biggest spark is the fact that pageantry really pushed me so much to step out of my comfort zone. So I started, my very first pageant was National American Miss, and I started way back in 2020, which it's crazy to think about, but now that was 6 years ago. And when I was like a junior preteen, I believe, I had gotten the famous National American Miss letter in the mail, but my mom at the time thought I was a bit young, so we held off for a couple of years. At the time, I lived in Ohio, and when it was my last year of the junior preteen age division, which I believe I was around 9 or 10 years old, we decided to go to state. But I ended up missing that state pageant because one of my flights got delayed and it was a whole thing. So my first pageant actually ended up being in 2020 and I had aged up to the preteen age division. And because of COVID-19 at the time, my state pageant got canceled. I came straight to nationals. So I got that full exposure, like straight on, and I immediately just fell in love with the system, the people, the amount of people empowering each other. And I got so inspired to not just continue pageantry, but really immerse myself in this world of service, in this world of giving back. And so as I kept, coming over and over again to National American Miss, that was my biggest spark, was remembering where I had started and why I had started, because I think that my journey is a little bit different from most people in the sense that, I ended up moving states. I started straight at nationals, but I think that's what made it so special to me.
Definitely, every journey has a spark and every journey is different for different people. Yeah. So looking back, before your National All-American Miss Junior Teen win, what was the driving force that kept you going?
I think the biggest thing that kept me going is the amount of growth I saw in myself through National American Miss. So, like I was touching on a little bit previously, having that crazy story and start to pageantry where I had to, immediately go into that national pageant, I was pushed to really step out of my comfort zone. So this included like speaking on stage, which I had never done before, or interviewing with a panel of judges round robin style. And I had never been in that kind of professional setting before. And year after year from age 11, which is when I started as a preteen, all the way up till now, age 16, as a junior teen. It was my last year in junior teen this year. I saw so much growth in myself year after year, whether it was the way that I was speaking or the confidence that I was building in being able to speak to a panel of judges or on stage or even mingle with all of these different girls. Because when I stepped in as a preteen, I was so nervous. I had always been a social person, but being surrounded with so many different people who are all kind of brought together by the same passion was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. But then this year at nationals, what I observed was I was a lot more open to socializing and even talking with people from different age divisions. So I think that growth that I kept seeing in myself and that growth that is yet to come, even being a title holder or, coming back to NIM even after my year is over, because old queens never die. They just become staff, I think is why I just keep coming back.
Yeah, and to win on the final age of junior teen, that's like it's something else. Like winning when you thought this is the last time, and I won't ever have a chance to try it again for this category. But here you are now, and you won. That's powerful. Just that never stop dreaming. You're gonna get it at the right time. It's gonna happen for you. So, what role does confidence, discipline, and self love play in your daily life, especially balancing school, pageantry, and personal growth?
I think that confidence for me is really just because of NAM. I learned that, I am powerful, I am worth it. And even if you don't win the crown, because I actually never ended up winning a state pageant, even after going to state, I don't even remember how many times, 3, 4 times. I never won the state title. I was always in the Queen's Court. But what that really taught me was that I, had to have the self confidence to keep going and to know my worth and to continue pushing myself to grow. Because at the end of the day, I think that's really what my pageant journey has been about for me, is about growing as a person. And I think that really carried over into schoolwork or other aspects of my life as well. Because during that, those transformative 5 years, I ended up going to middle school, graduating middle school, going to high school, starting the advanced placement program, AP for short, which is college level coursework in high school. So, life was getting hard in a lot of aspects, but even through pageantry, what I learned during school is, you got this, you can keep going, you are worth it, you are smart. And I think that has been just something that's so powerful that stuck with me, that is going to continue to stick with me throughout my life. And as for that, kind of carries over into self-love is, for example, I love listening to music. That's why opening number is one of my favorite things during the pageant week. As a dancer, as somebody who loves music, it's always so upbeat, and I think it's a great way to start off the show. But kind of shaking off those nerves, reminding myself, you got this, you are beautiful, you are confident. And dancing is the way I do that for myself. I think that was a big aspect in that. And as for discipline, I think a lot of times when people, don't get the success right away, like for me, like I said, I never won the state pageant. I think discipline for me was finding that motivation and courage within myself to keep coming back and to keep pushing myself to grow and to keep reminding myself that not only, of course, is your time coming, but, you have to stay focused, you have to be consistent, just like I am in school or any other extracurriculars that I do.
Amazing. So, how do you stay grounded in situations and environments that that has high expectations?
I am so blessed to be surrounded by the absolute best friends, family, and support system. I'm so grateful for everybody that has been any, part of my journey in any way throughout these past 5, now it'll be 6 years this year. For example, my mom, while she's my biggest hype woman, she's always like, you did awesome, that was great. She's also the first person to point out, while you did great, I think this is an area that you can work on, or this is an area that you can grow on. And having somebody like that in my corner is just so valuable to me, because they keep me grounded and they kind of give me something to work towards. I'm big on, setting smart goals and working towards those, and she's able to give that to me, and that is so valuable for me. And my friends, even though, they were in North Carolina Carolina and I was in Florida while this pageant was happening, being able to text and check in or watching all those videos or commenting on my posts. They're really small things, but they mean so much to me because I know that, you know, they were watching during their Thanksgiving break or they really cared to see how I was doing. And they're always just my biggest support system. So my friends, family have been so instrumental in, you know, getting me to where I am today and keeping me grounded.
So, talking about support system, what would you say to someone who's dreaming of being on national stage, but they don't have the support from their family? What would you tell them?
I think the biggest thing to do is that's a really tough situation to be in is to show the value that pageantry can bring into your life to your support system. Because one of the biggest reasons that my parents keep bringing me back to pageants or my, you know, friends keep supporting me and kind of pushing me like, you got this, you can do this, is because they're able to see what it's able to bring to me and how much growth it's able to, you know, bring to any kind of person. For example, while with pageants, a lot of people see the glitz and the glamour. They're like, it's dresses, it's hair, it's makeup. And that is amazing. And they are a part of a pageant. I won't deny that. They're also able to teach these incredibly important life skills such as public speaking. Like after being in pageants for a couple years, I was able to give my first TEDx talk, which is related to early literacy, which is what my community efforts have been surrounded by. And pageants were a big part of why I felt confident enough to give an 8-minute talk on stage. Or interview skills. You know, eventually everyone's going to probably end up interviewing for some kind of position, whether it's a student leadership position or a job interview later on, anything like that. And even if you don't end up interviewing in the near future, you know, interpersonal communication skills like interviews like these, it's so important to be able to articulate what you want to say. And pageants are such a great way to build that skill and get feedback from the best in the industry. Because National American Miss, I remember my judges panel, when I went back and watched the finale video, I was like, wow, I can't believe that I got to speak with such an incredible, you know, panel of judges. And so all of those different skills that pageants are able to teach you, I think pageants are a really unique environment where you're able to build and hone those skills along with so many other incredible girls. I would say really try to focus on that and show the value that pageants bring to your life, to your support system.
How do you handle self-doubt or pressure when it shows up?
I think that especially my division is junior teen, so that's ages 13 to 15, and that's a lot of the times the age group where, you know, it's so easy to feel self-doubt and pressure because you're seeing all these perfect lives on social media, you're seeing all these people doing incredible things around you. Like I know in my school district itself, there's a girl, you know, who recently won this big scholarship because she published like cancer treatment research. So it can get really competitive and it can be really easy to compare yourself or feel like you're not enough. But when that happens, I try to remind myself that I am on my own unique path. I think that a lot of times people are like, this person's moving so fast, I need to speed up. Or maybe I'm moving too fast, I need to slow down. But I think that remembering your passions, remembering to do something that you truly love, and reminding myself that I am on my own unique path is how I best deal with self doubt. I always tell myself, you know, like, do you truly love what you're doing? Do you feel accomplished and fulfilled when you do what you're doing? Even when I was younger, when I was a junior preteen and about to start the pageant, this has stuck with me till this day. And it's something I tell myself is what my mom said to me is, listen, if you don't win the crown, that's okay. If you don't walk away with any awards, that's okay. Can you ask yourself that, did I give my 500% to this competition and answer yes? Then that's a win in my book. And so even before like the finale where I ended up winning, that's what I was asking myself was, did I give the best possible performance that I could have given at this pageant? And that for me was a win in my book.
So, can you share a defining moment in your journey that challenged you and helped you into turning this confident young leader that you are today?
A defining moment in my journey that really tested me, I think, was when it was my last year of preteen. I came back to state, of course, and I ended up placing first runner up, which was the highest that I had ever placed. But first runner up, a lot of pageant girls can probably relate, is one of those positions where you're so happy for the girl that won, and you're so happy that you were able to come this far, especially for me because I had been like third runner up, fourth runner up in the past, and placing all the way up to first runner up was such an accomplishment. But at the same time, it was a little bit heartbreaking for me because it was my last year in the preteen age division. And of course, deep down, every girl like wants to win. And so that was one of those moments where I really doubted myself. I was like, should I keep doing pageants? Is this really meant for me? That was also the year where I was going to end up, I was in eighth grade, and eighth grade is the end of middle school, and I was going to go to high school the next year. So it was a big transitional period for me as well. And I think that was a big moment that tested me and tested my confidence. But what I reminded myself is the journey is never over, especially because I had so many divisions after that. I had junior teen, of course, teen, miss, and now NAM has also introduced the MS category, and IJM, and then the elite category at NAM, which are sister pageants, in case you didn't know that. So I reminded myself that, hey, the journey is never over. And even if pageantry was something that I couldn't do after that, which would be pretty heartbreaking, there is so much more that, that is waiting for me and that I was able to do. So after that, I was, able to expand Seeds of Reading, which is my platform. I was able to travel to India. I was able to join DECA and FBLA and TSA, go to high school. And so all of those things, were such big parts of my life. So I kind of pushed myself, I rebuilt myself, I kept going. And I remembered, like I said, at the end of the day, it's all about growth. So I started, growing in my skills, practicing, keeping that discipline. And I'd like to say it paid off.
Yes, it did. It definitely paid off. So now, as the reigning National All-American Miss Junior Teen, what are your plans to make your reign impactful?
My biggest plan is to focus on my community service efforts, especially scaling them to a national, international level. I like to think of the crown as a microphone, and especially being a national title holder, I'm able to, meet so many incredible girls, whether it's through summer tour or the Queen's Retreat, which is coming up next month. I have so much more reach. And for me, this journey all started out with community service. That's what got me into NAM. That's a big part of why I kept coming back, was the emphasis on giving back to your community. So my plans to make my reign impactful are to expand my ambassador program for Seeds of Reading, which, if you don't know, it's an early literacy initiative I started back in 2021 as a seventh grader that focuses on making reading and books accessible to all children, especially during those formational years, which is, I want to say, like kindergarten through fifth grade, elementary school. So I have an ambassador program where ambassadors submit videos of themselves reading books, because so many people have access to technology, but not nearly as many people have somebody to read to them or have access to actual physical books for, whatever reason it may be. So building that and taking that, hopefully reaching all 50 states, is a big part of what I want to do with my reign. Building people up, empowerment. I remember walking into NAM 2020, the first time I was at that national pageant. I didn't know what I was doing, but a big part of what made that experience so memorable for me was all of the national queens being so welcoming and supportive and really, encouraging me, like, you got this, you can do this, you should come back. And I think being that person for somebody else now is going to be such a full circle moment for me. So empowering girls at state pageants, at the national pageant, all of those places, and even in my community, even if I'm not wearing the crown and banner, being able to, support people is a big part of what I want to do with my reign. And so, yeah, you can keep an eye out for all the little service projects that I'll be doing. And if you are interested in supporting any of those, anybody tuning into this, be sure to follow me at the NAM AA Junior Teen or message me, and I'd love to get in touch with you.
Well, do you think that social media has helped or hurt our society?
Can you repeat that question? You broke up a little bit.
Has social media helped or hurt our society?
I think that social media is one of those things where I like to think of it as a coin, because a coin has two sides, heads and tails. And that's exactly how I see social media is. I think that it has one side of it that's, and one side of it that's maybe not so good and has it helps us helped society. I think the good parts of it are that it connects people. It's a great way to connect with all of these like-minded people. For example, I run my own talk show, Inspire, Unite, Motivate, which I started back in 2022. And I've been able to meet so many incredible girls across the country and even the world through that show that I, sitting here in Raleigh, North Carolina, just couldn't have met in person or could have, but obviously it would have been pretty difficult. So meeting girls like in California and Texas and all of those places and hearing about the incredible ways that they're inspiring society, uniting change makers, motivating everyone of all ages to make a difference was something that I am forever grateful to social media for, giving me. At the same time, especially within my generation or even my age group, junior teen, I know that it can be so easy to look at social media and, like I was touching on before, feel like you're behind or feel like you're not doing enough or feel like, all this self-doubt. And so in that way, I think that social media has hurt society a little bit because, sometimes it can tear down people's confidence or self-esteem or self-image. But in that, what I would encourage everybody to do, and something that even I have to remind myself to keep doing, is to know your worth because you are unique. You bring something new to the table. I guarantee there's something you can do that somebody else in the room cannot do. And that goes for everybody. So remembering your worth and using social media as a tool for connection to share your accomplishments while also reminding yourself that you are enough, I think is the best way to go about it.
So talking about having a service like this, right? What has been the challenges that you've met with when you're doing interviews with people on your service?
Some of the challenges that I've met, so I would say one big challenge that I had was I started my service initiative, Seeds of Reading, when I was in seventh grade. So at the time, I was 12 years old, and that is a little bit young. But actually, what inspired me to do that was when I did go to NAM for the first time, I saw like princesses who were doing incredible things, which, in case you're not familiar with NAM's age grouping system, those girls are ages 4 to 6, and I was sitting there at age 11. I was like, wow, that is so incredibly inspiring. And even our princesses right now, Bristol and Bianca, they have incredible service initiatives of their own. And so, but at the same time, that's not the age where people traditionally get into starting projects of their own, whether it's ages 4 to 6 or it's age 12 when I started my own service initiative. So when I would go talk to adults about, plans I had or things I wanted to do or the reasons why I started things, especially like right after the pandemic, I was often met with a lot of skepticism. People were like, that's great. Why don't you just like I don't know, help out, or you can like go to a book fair or something. Like, why do you need to have something of your own? Because I was so young. And I know a lot of people like went into high school and started something of their own, or got a little bit older and started something of their own. So I got a lot of adults pushing for that as well. They were like, this is great. Why don't you wait till you're like a ninth or 10th grader? And I knew that this was something that was really impactful to me and something that I wanted to continue working for, not at the age of 15 or 16, which I'm still doing, but I wanted to start at age 12. And so that was a big challenge, pushing through all of those doubts from adults and continuing to build up the program. Another challenge that I faced was the ambassadorship program, which initially was unsuccessful because I was 12 years old. I didn't exactly know what I was doing. I was kind of figuring it out as I went. And so what I had to end up doing is I love taking online courses. I'm like a big like learn as much as you can type of person. That's why I also take dual enrollment classes at my local community college because I'm like the more knowledge for me, the better. So I ended up that summer between ninth and 10th grade taking 30 business certifications online because I'd be sitting around and I was like, why not learn something while I'm sitting around scrolling on my phone anyways? And I was able to apply those teachings from that and my experiences with DECA, which is a business competition, FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, all of that to, better the ambassador program and the way I marketed it and the way I was able to reach out and connect with people via social media. So that ended up actually reaching like 15 states and 50 people. So I'm so grateful for that. And I hope it continues to grow throughout my reign. But I think those are two significant challenges that I've faced before.
Okay. So yeah, I love seeing those young girls, NAM and IJM, seeing them on stage doing amazing things, doing spokesmodel. They have so much to say, so much passion for it, and I just love seeing it. Like I wish like I was that way when I was young. So I feel you when you said watching them doing it, and you were like you want to do it too. You wanna start. Definitely, I can feel you because I also see it. I'm just like wow, they're so amazing. If I was this way, how will I end up right now? Where will I be right now if I had started as young as they are. And it's so inspiring, very, very much inspiring. So, if you could leave one message with young girls who doubt their potential and feel like the spark is too small, what will you say to them?
What I would say to them is, first of all, the spark is never too small. Even like big fires, they start off with a small spark. So there is no spark or there is no step that is too small. And what I would remind them is something that I had to remind myself as I was on this, 5, 6 year journey, is that you have to remind yourself that it's all about growth and it's all about becoming the best version of yourself that you can become. It's not just about, winning a crown or winning an optional competition or wearing a sash and going around or taking pictures. While those are amazing parts of pageants, and I absolutely love that, and I know that that is a big part of the appeal for so many people. It's more about, using those skills, becoming the best version of yourself that you can become, because pageants are able to foster such unique development within people. And I think a lot of times within all that glitz and glamour, sometimes that can kind of get forgotten. So what I would tell those girls is, maybe look at your interview score from 3 years ago and then look at it now and look about how much you've grown and how much more confident you feel speaking to people. Or what I love to do going into pageants is setting little like micro goals for myself, whether it's I want to place top 5 in this optional, or I want to feel more confident walking in a gown on stage, and I want to have a higher gown score this year than I did maybe 2 years ago. Setting those little goals for yourself, watching that spark grow as that confidence within you grows, because that spark at the end of the day comes from you and comes from your passion. And seeing how those life skills that you're building are able to bleed into these other areas of your life and propel you to be this beacon of light and beacon of hope in your community, I think are the best ways to go about it. Because NAM not only, gave me the confidence in the pageant world to keep going back, because fun fact, my gown score was my lowest competition when I started NAM. I was terrified to walk in a gown. I was like, what if I trip? What if this happens? What if that happens? I was so scared that at my very first finale, when you do the final walk on stage during the finale, I literally held up my gown and walked instead. I was so terrified to fall. And then this year, I ended up scoring the highest in the gown category within my division. So that growth for me was so impactful. And I know that so many other girls have similar stories. So to see that growth within yourself. But throughout this journey with NAM, something else that was able to happen is I was more focused in my academics, or I was able to take those skills and apply them to competitions like DECA and FBLA and TSA, which is Technology Student Association. I was able to feel more confident talking with adults who, like I said, I dealt with a lot of skepticism about this initiative that I had and all of these plans that I had. So seeing that kind of growth within yourself and seeing that spark grow as you continue to grow, I think is the best part of the journey and why every girl should keep going.
To episode 3 of Ignite Voices That Empower. This is part 2 because Instagram kicked me out. My phone overheated. When my phone overheats, Instagram shuts down, or it shuts down any app that is overheating the phone. So we're gonna be quick. It's just a few questions. So welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed the first part. Let me invite her. So we were talking, and we were on some question. Okay, she was telling us a message that she could leave for anyone who believes that spark is too small. So we're gonna continue, and we're gonna do an ignite rapid fire round. As we wait for her, Instagram, please cooperate with me right now. I wanna complete this. I don't know if she can even see I'm alive, because when I search her, she's not popping up. There's someone who joined. Let me see. Okay. Again, is I was I was about to. It said on my side you can join, and then I was about to like accept your request. But yeah, welcome back. Sorry for the overheat. I
No
always
worries. Get
complain.
it.
I hate it when it happens because I will be almost at the end. But now let's continue. So I'm introducing Ignite Rapid Fire Round and finish the sentence. So you can choose between Ignite Rapid Fire Round or Ignite Finish the Sentence. Which one do you want?
I'll do a rapid fire.
Okay. So I have six questions. Oh, before I had a question. Yeah, your range just started recently in November. So, what are you most looking forward to for your reign as National All American Miss Junior Teen?
So, of course, I talked to all about the service projects that I hope to scale. So, that's definitely number one on my list. But if I had to follow that up, next week I will be traveling to the Queen's photo shoot in Granger, Indiana this year. So, I am very excited for that because there's a lot of my sister queens that I haven't met yet. So, I'm really excited to meet them, get to know them, and bond with them. I think the sisterhood is really a big part of what makes National American Miss so special. So to experience that on a national level with all my national sister queens is going to be so exciting. And I'm also super excited for the Queens Retreat that our coaching sponsors have so generously put together for next month in Florida. I am so excited for that. And so to bond with not just my NAM sister queens, but the IJM girls will be there too. So to get to meet them and really have all of those skill building activities, because like I said, pageantry for me is a lot about the growth that I'm able to experience. So to experience that with my sister queens with our incredible sponsors is going to be so super fun. So those are two big highlights of my reign that I'm looking forward to.
Talking about sisterhood, how do you define sisterhood in pageantry?
I think I define sisterhood and pageantry as having this safe space to not just, voice a bunch of your ideas, but to support, uplift, and empower each other to continue to strive to be your best self possible. One big part of why I keep coming back to pageants and why I love NAM so much is because all of these girls are always inspiring me to be even better than I already am, to grow as a person, to dream bigger. Because I remember walking into NAM, like I said, all of these princesses and even junior preteens were doing incredible things. And I felt like, wow, I'm not too young to make a difference. But what I saw is when I kept coming back to the pageant, I saw like, wow, this girl did this girl went international, this girl, raised so and so amount of money. And that just inspired me to not limit myself, not limit my dreams, and to dream even bigger than I thought was possible, because nothing's impossible. The word itself says I'm possible. That's one of my favorite quotes. And so that's a big part of what sisterhood and pageantry means to me, is having that space to voice your ideas, to get feedback, to grow, and having those girls around you that are not only supporting you backstage or empowering you, but they're inspiring you to dream bigger than you ever believed was possible.
So let's get into the rapid fire round. So one word that best describe you.
One word that best describes me, I would say, is passionate. I'm super passionate about everything I do, whether that's within pageantry, within community service, or even my other extracurriculars. For example, I absolutely love to dance. I've been doing ballet since I was 3 years old. When I was in third grade, I joined the jazz and musical theater team to try a new style of dance. I'm a first generation Indian American, so I also do a lot of cultural styles of dance, whether that's Bollywood, or I don't do it myself, but a lot of my friends do more traditional forms of dance like Bharatanatyam or Kathak. So being able to learn some things from them. So I love to dance and I'm very passionate about that. So in all areas of my life, whether it's dance, pageants, or service, I try to really pick things to do that I truly feel strongly about, because that's what keeps me going even when I'm a little bit down or I'm like, oh, should I keep going? Because I truly love those things.
Yeah, one thing that excited me about you winning and Hansika handing you over the crown is that you both are from North Carolina. You both represented North Carolina on stage, and you're also Indian American. So it's like a back to back in any way.
Yes, able to be Hansika. predecessor was so incredible. I definitely have such big shoes to fill. She was a big role model, but also I was also super excited that I was able to, the crown stays in North Carolina. I'm able to represent, heritage on a national stage just like she was able to do. So that's definitely very exciting.
Yes, definitely. And anyone who's watching, if you love to follow Hansika, you can also watch the interview that I had with her. I'm gonna share it on my story too today. It is actually one of the most highest viewed live I've ever done. So I think, North Carolina is the power. Maybe I hope that, you can get to 1 million with you or more. Yes, because North Carolina, I can see you guys are a powerhouse so much. Back to back win. It was like when I saw like North Carolina, I was like, yeah, it's a back to back. So yes. Okay, my next question for the rapid fire round. Your go-to affirmation.
My go-to affirmation is dreams don't work unless you do. Because when I was in fifth grade, one of the biggest things that my teachers had, we had teams and we had a quote of the week type of competition, you could call it. And one of the quotes that our teachers chose was dreams don't work unless you do. And, being like an elementary schooler sitting on like tile floors, to me, that was like a whoa moment. Like I was 10 years old, and actually, it was right after that, a couple months after that, that I moved to North Carolina. COVID started. I got into pageantry. So many big life changes were happening for me. And so I think that's a quote that definitely stuck with me throughout that time. And even now, is that, dreams are never going to work unless you do. So while it's amazing to set these goals, write things down, think about what you want to do in the future, it's also equally important that you are putting in the work and the discipline to get to those goals eventually.
So something people don't usually know about you.
I learned how to roller skate during the pandemic. I love sharing this fun fact because so many people actually don't know that. But when I was 11, for my 11th birthday in March, it was like the peak of the pandemic. And I was in sixth grade virtual school. I was home all day. And my mom gifted me a pair of roller skates. And I was terrified to get on those roller skates. Like we had these big wooden floors, but I was like, I don't know. I don't want to like break something, twist an ankle or something, especially being a dancer, a ballet dancer. That's like a fear that's ingrained into you since you start, is like you can't like twist something or like anything like that. And I was like, being on wheels, like that sounds terrifying. And what actually ended up happening was one of my best friends at the time was who had lived in Ohio with me before I moved. I called her frequently. She was a master roller skater. Like she had certificates for it. She went to championships for it. So I ended up calling her up and I was like, can you teach me how to roller skate? And she was like, yeah, sure. And it didn't work. I was still so scared. Like she really tried her best, but I was so scared. So what ended up happening is I had to teach myself how to roller skate to get over that fear. I got in and I was like, I got this. I can do this. And so I taught myself how to roller skate from scratch. And I think that's a handy party trick. And it really taught me a lot too about, perseverance, continuing to push through hard things. One of the things that my APUSH teacher says now, my AP US history teacher, is, do hard things. Always push yourself to step out of your comfort zone, whether it's school, roller skating, or pageantry. All three of those aspects of my life have taught me that through different experiences. So yeah, I always think that's a cool story to share.
So heels or sneakers.
Heels. I absolutely love heels. I think the pageant girl in me might be a little bit biased as well. But in general, what I love about heels is they really make me feel confident and they make me feel empowered. So whenever I'm a little bit nervous to talk on stage, like for example, one big thing that happens in my community is the Carrie Children's Day Festival, which has its root in Turkey. So the American Turkish Organization of North Carolina organizes it. But it's a festival that celebrates like youth empowerment and culture and bringing all of these different youth leaders together. And I have been an MC for that since 2022, I believe. And so one thing that really grounded me when I started and still grounds me is like being in heels. They make me stand a little taller, feel a little more confident. And I always love, when I can feel tall around my friends too, because I'm 5'5", but one of my best friends is 5'8". So I love the height they give me as well.
So yeah, that was the last of my question, but I want to thank you for being patient when my phone went overheat, and thank you for being here. Before we close off, any message for anyone watching right now?
My biggest message would be is I always love, getting as many people involved as possible in my service projects, or if you just want to learn more about me, I'm always open to talk. I'm a big talker, if you couldn't tell. I love to talk with people. So feel free to get in contact with me on Instagram at the NAM AA Jr.Teen. And I would love to connect with you, talk with you further if you have any questions. And I also wanted to thank you once again for having me on the show. I loved being able to speak with you. I think we had an amazing conversation, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, we did have an amazing conversation. Although we did hit the glitch, but we came back. All that matters that you came back. It's not all about falling. When you fall, you must pick yourself up again. And so, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. I can see you tuning in, guys, and we appreciate each and every one of you. And all the best on your reign as you reign as National All American Miss Junior Teen. We're gonna be following your reign closely and seeing the work that you do. All the best with all that.
Thank you so much, and thank you once again for having me. Even with all the technical difficulties, I think we still persevered and we had a great interview.
Yeah, we all learn with all the technical glitches. We all learn with that, and we move on and keep going. And ultimately, we're gonna get to the top if we keep going that way. So yeah, today's motivation I think is all about persevering and keeping going, because if you didn't persevere, you wouldn't be here wearing that crown. So yeah, today's message is all about perseverance. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys on
Yeah,
another side.
bye. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye. So that was it. That was episode 3 of Ignite versus Run Power. If you would love to see more of these conversations, you can go on and follow me, and you're gonna see who is coming up next on as I interview the next person. And if you also love to be a part of this, do not fear to come to me, contact me, and we'll set up an interview. I am open to interviewing anyone around the world, wherever you are. Even if your time zone is 7 hours ahead of me, I believe that we can make it work. Today's word is perseverance. So please, let's keep persevering and ignite.